Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We will be streaming live soon.
Live from the campus of the Mount Zion Baptist Church of Kalamazoo, Michigan, welcome to Celebrating Black Excellence. With your hosts, the conscious of Kalamazoo, Brother Buddy Hanna, and the pastor of the Mount Zion Baptist Church, Dr. Addis Moore.
Welcome to another installment of Celebrating Black Excellence. I know you've been looking for us on a weekly basis because in February we were here every Thursday night. But if you remember, we said we were going once a month. And so we're back now for this installment, and we'll be doing it once a month hereafter. So I'm excited with my whole co-host, Buddy Hanna. I'm excited to be back, man. How you been doing?
Been doing good, Doctor. How about yourself, man?
Oh, man, it's just been awesome. Been getting all kind of reviews from this whole Celebrating Black Excellence. Individuals have been saying that they wanted it continue, so I've been getting rave reviews. How about you?
I've been hearing a lot of good things about it, and we want to thank all of you who have been tuning in, and we appreciate it, and we want you to keep tuning in for us. But yes, I've been hearing a lot of good things about it, and we hope that we can continue to bring you some good things that will motivate, inspire, and encourage you.
Amen. And that's our purpose, to really just motivate, inspire, inform. And we're presenting black leaders, black individuals that are making impact, that are doing awesome, tremendous things in our community. And so everyone that we've had is from the Kalamazoo area. They're operating in Kalamazoo. So, buddy, really these individuals are making our city and our community better just by them working, reinvesting and investing in our community.
Exactly, and the good thing about it is that these are some people that some of you may know and you may not know, and that's what we're trying to do. If you don't know them, hopefully by the time we get through with the show, and you will be get to know them better and know a lot more about them and some of the things that they are doing now and have done in the past.
All right, now just before we introduce our guests, we're going to need your help because some folk may have forgotten that we were on tonight. So if you're on YouTube and our Facebook, first of all, thank you. As Buddy said, thank you for joining. And so, but we need you now to share right away, share very quickly with others because we want them to get on because we don't want them to miss any part of tonight's segment because I guarantee it's going to literally blow your mind and you're going to want us to continue, but we can only go an hour. So go ahead and share with individuals, encourage individuals to join right now. And we'll be able to receive your questions and our comments during the session tonight. And so make sure you get ready to ask questions of these individuals. Help us do our job. Help us get the most out of this segment. So go ahead and share. And we're getting ready to start. Buddy, can you share? Because I think they're ready to know who we got tonight. And here we go. Let's do it.
Well, I thought you was going to do that, man.
Okay, let me do it.
Yeah.
Let me do it because I want to do this.
You got the mic. Go
Let me
ahead
do
and
it. Let me do it. Okay, buddy. I got the mic. So this person, first of all, let me do the lady first. We've got a young woman here that's really has come. She's come to Kalamazoo. She was educated here, and she has grown, got her own business. She's doing phenomenal things. Tonight we have with us Dr. Leatrice Brooks, and so she's with us tonight, and she's owner of Chosen PLC, and so PLLC. Excuse me. And then, but she's going to be able to tell you all about herself. So I'm just telling you who we got here. And then this another young man I heard about, have not met him tonight, but I heard about him. I've heard about him for quite some time. He's with the city of Kalamazoo. And guess what? He is hold on, let me get it right. Because I said it wrong in the pre-session. And he corrected me. And so I don't want him to correct me on camera. So here it is. He's the deputy city attorney of the city of Kalamazoo. Buddy, and that's who we got tonight.
All right. Well, hey, you ready to get this thing started?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, Dr. Brooks, we're going to start with you. First of all, welcome. Thank you for being here. We're glad to have you and that you are able to be here. Tell us just a little bit about some of the things that you're doing. I know you're owner of your own company. You, in fact, look like you own two types of companies here, and you've done so many things. I know that we have heard you before on The Touch. You've been a guest on The Touch with AA on Speaker on it, and you've done a lot of things in the community. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and some of the things that you've done here.
Thank you. So I am a licensed psychologist, and as you stated, I got my doctorate here in Kalamazoo at Western. And I have two businesses. One is a private practice called Chosen PLLC, and I have a staff of mental health providers. And so our mission is empowering people to reach their greatest potential. So that's what we do. And then I have another business that I recently merged with Chosen that is called The Power in Presence. And for that business, I work with organizations to help them to have better systems and structures within the organization and really help people to learn how to be more present in life so that you can show up more consistently the way that you really want to show up. So I'm doing some speaking and executive coaching with that business.
So wait a minute, Dr. Brooks. Wait a minute. Buddy, did you hear what she said?
Yeah.
First of all, she owns Chosen, and now she has another business she owns. So you're literally operating two businesses at the same time?
Yes.
Man.
Yes.
All right.
So let's push this Chosen a little bit. You know, what prompted you, because you've gone to school and then you're degreed, and so how did you come about starting your own business? I just think that's interesting, that entrepreneurial spirit, and that, okay, I'm going to do my own. So can you share with the audience and us, like, how did you come to the point where, okay, I've got to do this for myself?
You know, I had a job when I first completed my degree. I had to get additional training in order to get fully licensed. And so I ended up having two jobs right after I graduated. And I was at my second employer for probably about 2 months. And I knew then that that was not my final destination. And I didn't know what was to come. I just knew, like, this is not going to be the end for me. And so I was there for about a year and a half. And I really started feeling God push me to do something. And so he really just started giving me the steps. And so one day he said, well, this is what you're about to do. You're going to open your own practice. And the interesting thing about that is owning my own practice was the one thing that I had told God I did not want to do. But I'm smart enough to tell God yes and not say no. And so he told me to do that, and I started the process, and actually 6 months later, we opened.
But now, Dr. Brooks, tell us a little bit, why this field of work? What brought you into this field of work?
So therapy has been something that I didn't necessarily plan to do, but one day when I was 12, I was having some issues. And I actually had a conversation with God, and I asked God why I was here, because I didn't think I had anything to do here. And so I asked God why I was here, and he actually said, your purpose is to be a counseling psychologist. And the crazy thing about that was I didn't know what a counseling psychologist really was at that time, but what I did know about it at that time, what I was doing in life and how I was showing up in life actually really fit well with being a counseling psychologist. And so from that point forward, and going into college, I just decided that that was going to be my focus. And so I have 3 college degrees, all in psychology. I have a bachelor's in psychology, a master's in developmental psychology, and my doctorate is in counseling psychology. So the field is really something that just pulled me into it, and it really fit with who I am as a person. One of the things that I have learned on this journey is that I am super passionate about watching people learn and grow and develop. And so that drives me and that pushes me, and it actually makes me uncomfortable when people aren't moving. That doesn't sit well with me. So I'm always having conversations about growth. My ear is tuned very keenly to growth conversations and people saying that this is what I'm doing or this is what they want to do. And so it just gets pulled out of me to be in this field.
Right. All right. Now, you mentioned you have 3 degrees. We know that's a job right there. You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
You know, for some
Amen.
people,
Amen.
took me about 7 or 8 years to just get one. But you have 3 degrees. You're doing, and I know you had to work hard to get this. What are some of the things that you feel? Being a female and African American, what are some of the challenges that you encountered on the way to completing these 3 degrees?
You know, when you really have your mindset on what you want to do, some people just don't like that. And I am a very driven person. I love to learn, and I love to produce, and I love to grow. And so anything that really catches my interest, I just dive right in. And so I definitely have had some obstacles. And I think sometimes people see where you land, and they forget that you actually had a journey. And so there were things that I encountered. There was racism that I encountered that I didn't even know was happening. Like even just here in Michigan, there is a lot of covert racism, and I got slammed, and it cost me in my program, but because that is where my heart was and my passion was, I was really determined to do it. And so it didn't matter to me what the obstacle was. I had to do what I was created to do, and so I pushed through. And I knew that any obstacle could not derail me. And I think a lot of times when it comes down to things that we're able to be derailed by, or we get sidetracked, that might not even be the thing that we're supposed to be doing, or we need to find some way to just kind of buckle down and make sure that it happens. Because everything that I'm doing, even though I said that, you know, this is the thing that I told God I didn't want to do, I love every bit of what it is that I'm doing. And so I'm glad that I continue to push through, and I took a healthy risk to be obedient.
Buddy, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling inspired. I'm getting ready to tick one off right now because I've been informed and I'm feeling inspired. Just listen to Dr. Real Brooks talks about her story. I'm feeling inspired.
Already, yes. So when you started your business and everything, first of all, let me ask you, are there a lot of African Americans in the same field you are in Kalamazoo? Are you one among many or one among few?
I think there's a shortage of mental health providers that are Black in Kalamazoo. Western cranks out a lot of therapists, but I think there's a shortage. And I say that because we have a number of people, especially after the killing of George Floyd, we were just really had an influx of people that were looking for a therapist that looked like them. And so that was exciting for me as a provider of color, that we had a number of people of color and Black people saying, hey, you know what, I need some help and I need to talk about some things and I want life to be different for me. So I really appreciated that. But yes, I think there is a little bit of a shortage in terms of having therapists of color. And I'm not really sure what the landscape looks like for businesses, therapy practices owned by people of color. I don't think there are many at all in the area. But that said, I don't really pay a whole lot of attention to what other people are doing. I kind of stay focused on my stuff.
Buddy, now we've got an attorney here also, and here he's an attorney. And so I think we better get to the attorney.
Yeah. We don't want to overlook the attorney, and never know when you might see him again. Well, let's turn to Brother Cherry. How you doing?
You know, I'm feeling inspired after hearing Dr. Brooks. So, you know, you don't have to necessarily come to me. I mean, she's doing a great job over there, and so, you know, I'm doing great, and I want to thank you for having me here.
Yeah. Well, we thank you for being here. Now, you are the deputy attorney for the city of Kalamazoo, which I'm told that means that when the city attorney is not in place, then you the man, so to speak. That's your job. But tell us a little bit about yourself and how you started your journey, and how did you end up where you are at now?
Okay. Well, started out basically born in Niles, Michigan. Grew up in a single-parent household. My mom pretty much instilled in me hard work and perseverance. And we came here to Kalamazoo, I want to say in 4th grade. She put me in a all-white school at St. Monica's because she thought that the quality of education, being a single parent, she wanted to make sure that my education was strong and that she didn't have to worry about me. So she put me in a Christian school. That had its challenges, being one of the only Black kids in school. And so, you know, you call names like Brownie, called names, the N-word, I've heard that before. But, you know, staying true to yourself and knowing who you are, that helped me persevere through that. So basically, after being in that Christian school, I went to Lloyd Norrix, go Knights, and graduated from there. Also was at the Kalamazoo Area Math and Science Center. At that time, I thought I was going to be a doctor. Organic chemistry changed my mind. And so one of the things being at Kalamazoo College, you do a liberal arts education, and so you get to do a lot of different disciplines. And then when I was in some of my political science classes, I grew to enjoy those. And for me, just hearing about, I think it was my U.S. government class, hearing about some of the civil rights movements, Thurgood Marshall being a prominent African-American attorney and then Supreme Court justice, that inspired me to want to do that. to want to go into the legal field. And so I took a gap year. I know it wasn't called that back then. It was called, I don't know what it was called back then. It was just, I took a year off. Year off, yeah. And worked as a AmeriCorps member, helping out in this community. And then I decided it was time for me to go to law school because it was, I guess I was living off of peanut butter jelly sandwiches, and so I was just like, well, it's time to go to school. And so I got accepted to Wayne State University, and I did my 3 years there, and then I decided to move out of state to Chicago. I got a job as a state's attorney, which is a prosecutor. That's what they call prosecutors in Illinois as a state's attorney, and did that for. We lived in my wife now. We lived in Chicago for almost 8 years, and then when my first child was born, it was I think I would get that calling to come home because I had my mom here, my wife had her family here, and I think it was God telling us that we needed to be home close to our family. So by the grace of God, I got a job as an assistant city attorney and came back home and worked my way up to deputy city attorney. So that's where I'm at today.
So you were educated, and then you were working in Chicago, found your way back home, Kalamazoo. You were here growing up. You had some experiences. You've seen some things. So coming back as an attorney, what was your view? What did you see that impacted you one way or the other? Like, okay, this needs to change, or that's okay. How did you notice Kalamazoo after you have grown up here, went educated, and particularly coming back as a lawyer?
So that's a good question. For me, when I came back, growing up here and coming back as an adult, as an attorney, you look at Kalamazoo a little differently. And so growing up here, you knew it had its issues. You knew that there, even though the schools are integrated, there is some separation there between black and white. Coming back as an attorney, I wanted to make my mark. So I don't want to say I was arrogant or cocky or whatever you want to call it, confident, but being in Chicago, coming back home to Kalamazoo, I thought, I practice in the big city, I can do that here. And some folks will knock you down a few pegs because, and some of the judges would let you know, but no, you're not in Chicago anymore. You're in Kalamazoo. So for me, the difference for me is seeing myself as not Richard Cherry, who grew up here, but Richard Cherry, an attorney. So I felt like I was different. One of the things I wanted to change when I got here, though, is once I saw the landscape, I wanted to make an impact in criminal justice reform, doing something as giving people a different opportunity when not saddled with like misdemeanors or criminal offenses. And so as a prosecutor, I changed how I prosecuted. So if a young man or young woman didn't have anything on the record, or they were, you see that they were trying to do hard, I would give them a break. I would, and maybe you see somebody a couple times, you give them a break and just try to give, seeing that you are, have the same skin color as them and you are, the same race, you hopefully that they see you and that you're not trying to beat them down, that would lift them up. So.
All right.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, we said that in the beginning when we talked to you, we mentioned the fact that when the city attorney, the head man is not there, you the man, but we know you have work to do, even though you are the deputy still. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that you have to do in your job as deputy city attorney.
So I get to do anything that, I call it general practice. And for attorneys out there, they know that anything walks through the door that you have to do. So you have to learn, in my profession, we call it municipal law, but it's basically anything the city has legally, you have to learn how to do. So that can be from litigation to, as I mentioned before, criminal prosecution, being general counsel. So basically tax appeals, you do pretty much everything. So what I came from in Chicago was basically criminal prosecution, and I did some civil work in what we call tort litigation and civil rights law. But I had to learn things quickly when I got here, and I think, being confident in myself and being able to try to pick up things fairly quickly, I was able to succeed in that respect.
So Richard, now, and we've just crossed last summer. You're talking spring, summer, and that's when things really heated up around the country and even here in Kalamazoo. So how was your job impacted? And tell us how that was, that experience being a city attorney, and even probably now dealing with the issues of that was plaguing our nation and our community. How was your job then? How did you feel? What impact did that make, if that makes sense? There's a question in there somewhere.
So for me, being a black male, and when I saw the video of Mr. Floyd and that police officer's knee on his neck, that ripped me apart, to be quite honest with you. And so, when you're in lockdown because of COVID-19, sometimes, that's not the first picture or first instance of that happening. We all know that. But when you're at home, you kind of are with your own thoughts, and for me, that was really tough. And being a city attorney, also representing police officers, and I had to kind of personally separate that, but it was really tough to do so. I will say the police department here, I feel, is really good and professional. However, there are some police officers out there in this world that should not be police officers, that don't serve and protect everyone, and that's their job. Not just people who look like them, but people that look like me and all of us. And so, for me, it was tough coming to work, and if I had a case with a police officer, you gotta put that aside and be professional and do your job.
We have forgot you, Dr. Brooks. And to show you that we haven't got you, I got a question for you.
All right.
You know, sometimes in the black community, we have this stigma about therapy, mental health, and different things. A lot of times, I don't need no therapy. I ain't going to no therapist. I don't need to talk to them. What are some of the things that you are doing or have done to try to dismiss this stigma that we have in the black community?
Well, my staff and I participate in community events when we have the opportunity to do so. We really try to make sure that we are tangible to people. And so I like the fact that my staff is really engaged and they want to make sure that people feel comfortable with talking to a therapist, because if we can see you in the community and have just a normal conversation with you where you know that you're not in therapy in that particular moment, it kind of softens things up for folks so that they will feel more comfortable with, you know, oh, this person is a therapist, and if I can talk to them here, I could probably also then talk to them in the office. The other thing that we do is our office doesn't look like what you would expect in terms of a therapy office, because I feel like people are nervous enough about coming to therapy that I don't want them to come to therapy and then, you know, have a panic attack in the lobby because it feels like they're in therapy. So I really want to normalize the experience for folks. And so pre-COVID, we actually had a number of people that would just come and hang out for a half an hour before their appointment just because they felt that warm and welcome in that space. And so I really try to create the space within my team, and then that trickles down to our clients as well, because just as much as it is important for me to serve, it is important for them to serve as well. And so they really keep our clients in the forefront of their mind, and we are always thinking about and strategizing around what is going to help somebody else to find a space where they can get the help that they really need.
For the both of you, can you answer this question? I'll complete this sentence. The platform I've been given provides me now to impact. Then you finish the sentence. Okay. Because I have this platform, I'm a therapist. I've got my own business. I've got 2 businesses. Now I'm able to impact. I'm a deputy city attorney, and so from that platform, I'm able to impact. And so,
For me, I believe I'm able to impact my community. And what I mean by that, I mean, that's broad, right? But my legal community, what I can do and have done, I help organize Amnesty Day. I don't know if anyone heard about that, but what, in conjunction with the courts, in conjunction with some of the local attorneys in the area, what we have been doing is allowing once a year, COVID kind of messed that up a little bit last year, but once a year, allowing folks to come in for nonviolent warrants to come get those warrants erased. And also meet with the prosecutor to try to remedy their criminal offense and trying to give them a good result, meaning either dismissal or community service with dismissal, something to put them on the right path. And also in conjunction with that, we would have Michigan Works there as well for potential job placement. So, and the other thing that
Richard, before you go too far, but I need you to look in the camera again, because I think you just blessed a whole lot of people with. But did you hear what he said about Amnesty Day? Amnesty, and folk could come in, and can you say that again? Look in the camera again, right, and tell our audience that again, because I don't think they heard what you just said. Because there should have been some shouts and some hand claps and stuff on YouTube. Something should have been happening. So say that again and put a little oomph to it.
Okay, I'll try to put a little oomph to it.
Yeah, because I don't think folk heard. Jason, did you hear what he just said? Go ahead, Richard.
So it's what we in the community are trying to do, and again, is with our local partners, with the courts, with the prosecutor's office, with our office, what we do is the courts will forgive warrants. And what that means, they will quash or get rid of their warrant so they don't have to go to jail. Don't have to worry about going to jail. And then what we as prosecutors try to do is get them a just result. So a result where they can either a dismissal, depending on the crime, or community service with a dismissal, something that, or just a fine, something that will put them on the right path. And then what is also there is the Michigan Works. They have we have a career fair where those employers know that some of these folks might have a criminal record, but they excuse it and allow them and try to hook them up with a job.
Wow. What time y'all open up?
We're gonna try to do that again this year. So.
I got to get down there early.
Dr. Brooks, same question. Your platform allows you to impact.
My platforms as a psychologist, a professional speaker, and an executive coach allow me to change the trajectory of the lives of individuals and the structure of organizations.
Oh my goodness, that was a nice little neat answer. So I'm gonna stretch that answer a little bit because on your information we have, and I know that you're involved now as far as executive coach in deconstructing
Yes.
structural, systematic, and institutional racism. Can you talk about that? Because, I think folk in the camera want to hear that. Talk about that because a lot of things are going on around racism in our community, in the country. Individuals don't know how to deal with it. Individuals want to have, particularly white individuals, we need to know what to do, how to deal with it. A lot of folk are uneasy, knowing that something has to be done, but don't exactly know what to do. So that grabs my attention. Can you talk about that, Dr. Brooks?
Yes, so this branch of work that I am doing really came out of the murder of George Floyd. And that hit me hard. And it was interesting because, murders like that are things that we hear about on a regular basis, unfortunately, in our community. And I talked to a number of people, and there was something that just hit differently about that. And so I was doing some reflection, had some conversations with God about, what's my next move? What should I be doing as it relates to speaking and coaching? And so this is what came up for me, was doing some things with deconstructing systemic, structural, and institutional racism. And so that work is about going deeper as it relates to diversity, equity, and inclusion in organizations. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of people and a lot of organizations who will take a class and do a certificate. They spend a few hours talking about race, and they learn a few things, and then they go back to their organization and nothing changes. And so the work that I am doing with organizations is, how do we go deeper? How do we look at the systems and structures within your organization? How do we look at you and what you are doing or what you personally are not doing that is impacting the race within your organization, and really helping people to learn more about what's happening and influence the change so that we can get to a place that is more diverse, inclusive, and equitable. And it's interesting for me because I feel like this hits me differently because I'm doing the work in Kalamazoo, which is actually a place that I have personally been discriminated against in. And so it's helping to change the structure of the community as a whole. So as I work with organizations, I endeavor to be able to have a greater impact on the community. And when I think about how the work that I'm doing with these high-level folks, how it changes the structure of the organization, then that trickles down to create a space where other Black people and people of color now are able to be employed and have opportunities to use their skills in meaningful ways. And maybe now they won't have to deal with some of the things that I myself and others have had to deal with.
Wow. So you actually deal with people that are in control of the systems and the structures that cause racism to continue?
Yes, absolutely. Because there's a lot of misinformation and there's a lot of, just being uninformed about what is happening. And so, what this coaching really looks like is I meet with individuals, the heads of organizations. We meet individually, and then we also meet as a group, and we talk about things on a regular basis. And we come up with tangible to-dos. Here is my next step towards deconstructing racism within this organization. Here's something that I can actually do today or tomorrow before I see you again in the next 2 weeks, because they know I'm going to ask about it, because I like to see people grow and move. So here's something that I can actually do that will impact what happens next within this organization. Because I think that people don't necessarily recognize, or they miss the fact that it's not just about the people that are racist, it is the system as well that perpetuates the racism. And so you can't just change the person. And there are a lot of white people that have a heart, like they really do want to do something different, but they may not know where to start. They don't know what structures are in place that are keeping the institution as being racist. And so that's kind of where I come in, is here's what you can do personally, here's what you can do organizationally that can help to create some change here so that people have better opportunities.
Okay, buddy, before our next question, let me talk to the audience. Now, look, we've had some phenomenal information. We've heard about this, the day when you come in and you can get your nonviolent crimes taken care of. We talked about racism. So now look, if you got any questions and comments, we need to hear them, because they're here and they've got a wealth of information tonight. The information is just flooding. And so you got Richard Cherry and Dr. Leisha Brooks here tonight, and they're sharing information and they're sharing their heart, and they're open to all questions and comments. So get on those and let us hear some questions and comments. We need to know you out there. Know what you feel, buddy.
Yeah, I agree with you. Please feel free to ask questions to them as individuals, as both of them. Just direct your questions, and we'll get them on over to them and make sure that they get answered. But as Dr. Moore said, here's an opportunity for you to actually interact with these two phenomenal people that we have here. So,
and buddy, I got it. So, cause see, you and I got these little technical devices up here tonight, and we get to read the questions right on the screen, and
that's right.
And we're not able to do it yet.
Hey, I want to see some questions up here, man. You know?
Yeah, because this is the first time that they've got us with some high-tech stuff. We don't know how to operate it, but they set it up. So all we got to do is read
the questions.
So we need to know if our devices are working. So y'all help a couple of brothers out.
Yeah, help a couple of brothers out, ask some questions. And I know some of y'all definitely should be asking the deputy attorney some questions about this amnesty thing. I'm just saying, okay? Because Pookie might want to know. And anyway, this is for both of you. You're in these positions. You got your own business. You're doing this and whatever. You've gotten yourself to deputy city attorney. Hard work, all kinds of things that you've overcome. Now that you're there, what do you have to do to stay there?
Wow. So, and I was thinking about this question about how I think as a African American, you worry about how you're perceived. You worry about trying to be perfect because you worry that any little mistake that someone of the majority would make, they might, excuse it. But for you, you might not have that option. So for me, what I try to do, it's you go to bed at night, you worry about, did I file that right? Did I make the right argument? Was I did I do the correct thing? And at the end of the day, you can't worry about all of that because it'll drive you crazy. And for me, I just try to be true to myself. Again, that was instilled by my mother and my big mama. So they both told me that I was smart, I was talented, and they always told me that kind of stuff. And so I just go back to that, and that's how I know that I will stay there and continue to succeed.
Right. We got some questions coming in, but Dr. Brooks, same question to you. Now that you have this, your 2 businesses, this, that, and the other, what does it take for you to maintain this, to keep this up?
For me, it's really keeping a pulse on people and a pulse on the community. So even as I am branching off and doing speaking and executive coaching, I will not be transitioning completely out of therapy. And so I need to keep a caseload of people because that's where I understand people on a deeper level. Because there are, they're connected, but they're still different types of work. And so it's important for me to stay plugged in into the community and knowing what's going on, because as things are happening within the community, it helps me to shape my business in a way that's going to meet the needs of the community. So I have to stay connected.
We got some questions you want to?
Yep,
Okay.
yep. I see a question. Oh, thank y'all for helping. I'm so happy to read my little technical device I got here. So here's a question. I'm reading it right off my technical new device I got to read questions from. Here it is. This is for you, Richard. What about police wrongdoing toward man and woman, single or not single, police brutality and cops brutality? What should I do?
So if I understand the question, what should that person do about police brutality?
Toward a man or a woman, single, and they know that. What should they do?
I think you have to report it. You have to make people know that happened. We have to hold, and I think at least our public safety department would say this, we have to hold them accountable. We have to everyone should be held accountable, but they should be held accountable. They should be held to the standard to serve and protect. So that's what they're here to do. And so if they're not doing that, then you need to report it.
Okay, I'm going to stay with you for a minute, and Buddy, you can get Dr. Brooks's question in a minute.
Okay.
But while you were talking, you talking up the question. So the question is, how do I report it? And then what happens to a report when a situation is reported?
So our public safety department has a professional standard division. I would start there. I would go to if you go to the city's website, public safety has their own website and where you can report, they're called PCR complaints, where you can report police misconduct. They will do an internal investigation. We also have a citizens review board that reviews those after public safety does their investigation. The citizen review board will review the investigation and give the city manager a recommendation on what they think should happen to that officer. So after you report it, it goes through the professional standards. Professional standards will do their investigation, give you information whether they sustain the investigation or the complaint, or they don't find merit to it, and then you can appeal it to the citizen review board if you don't like the outcome.
Dr. Brooks, we have a question for you, and the question is, you talk about your faith giving you directions for entering counseling/therapy. How does your faith help you do your work of therapy, coaching, and leading a business?
Yeah.
really, it helps me to understand the work that I'm doing, because I think that, you know, it's really easy to come up with an idea for something, but it helps to give me guidance. And so with my business, it also helps me to give me confidence in things because, you know, business is not easy work. It takes a lot of really hard work and things aren't always going smoothly. And so it helps me to reset when things aren't smooth to say, okay, let me get back to myself and what I know to be true about where it is that I'm supposed to be. And then I can feel good that things are going to work out the way that they're supposed to. In terms of actually doing therapy and coaching, the way that it shows up in the room really depends on the person. So there are times where people will say, you know, hey, I want to include Christianity in my work with you, and if it doesn't come up, then it doesn't come up. So if they say, let's do it, then, you know, that's what I do. But I can't separate Christianity from my work because that is who I am. I know sometimes people are afraid that a therapist that is Christian is going to beat them over the head about being a Christian or about having, you know, a relationship with God, and that's really not what it is. Because my business name is Chosen, there are a lot of people who suspect that somebody in the organization might be a Christian just because of the business name. But I've had a number of clients, myself and my staff, of individuals who come knowing that there's a chance that someone is a Christian or their therapist is a Christian, and they come anyway even though they're atheists. And they might talk about it in the room and say, hey, is this, you know, a Christian organization? And I say, yes, I am Christian. And then we just talk about me being a Christian and them not being a Christian, and then we keep rolling with therapy. So it's a part of who I am, and it's a part of my identity, and so I don't just turn it off. I can't not be me, because that actually goes against my speaking brand, which is the power and presence, because it's really about being your authentic self and being who it is that you're created to be. And so as I am being her, I am helping my clients to be whoever it is that they're created to be as well.
Okay. We got a couple of questions here. First of all, we'll go back to you, Richard. How many of your felonies can you get erased off your records?
Okay, so
They got a lot. They got a lot.
Yeah, I told you.
Wow.
I told you it was
So-
heating up, Richard.
Yeah,
I told you
yeah,
it's
so-
heating up.
So I am not I'm not a criminal defense attorney, so I don't normally practice in that realm. But there is a new expungement law, and I'm trying to remember. I don't know the specifics, but there are, depending on the amount of offenses that you have, you can get one felony erased. It could be with the new law too, but that's not my realm of practice. So to speak.
It was another part to that was added, so I think you might have mentioned that because they said my felony went through the expunging process and confirmed. How do I know what's being told to jobs when I apply?
Okay, so let me just say this, and I'll respond to this question like this. So, with almost like a commercial.
It was not confirmed, buddy. It was not confirmed.
Oh, yeah, went through the process, and yeah, it was not confirmed. I'm sorry.
It was not confirmed. Okay.
That's why we got a co-host.
So, the city, in conjunction with Kalamazoo Defender's Office and the courts, is trying to host another expungement clinic. I will hopefully in the summer, when it's a little bit nicer, when it's easier for us to gather because of COVID. So what I will say to that individual is that Kalamazoo Defenders has a walk-in clinic where that person could go to them to get that question asked or answered for them. Also, what we'll have, we did one right before COVID hit, in February in the north side with Maddie, Maddie Woods at the North Side Cultural Business District, and what we had over, I want to say, 200 folks that we served during that expungement clinic. So I'm not answering the question because I don't really know.
Right.
But what I'm trying to tell that individual is that we in the community, in the legal community, is trying to have these questions answered and have these records expunged.
It's great. Okay, it's heating up, buddy. We got
Yeah.
comments. These things, they're just writing so fast I can't read them. And they said that, I'm going to read one for both of you. One thing they said, everybody's saying thank you to both presenters, and they really appreciate the information you're giving, so thank you. And this is a question for both of you. As a person of color working in leadership, I'm often held to a different standard. How do I navigate those expectations while being authentic in my servant leadership? And we'll start with you, Dr. Brooks.
That's a very good question, and it speaks to the work that I'm doing with organizations around deconstructing racism. And I think that we do have a different standard, and it's that standard that has gotten me to where I am. So in this particular moment of time in the world, we can't afford to not meet that standard. We can't, because the world isn't ready for us to just be who we naturally are. But that said, we also want to find places and spaces where we feel like community, and we have people that we can talk to and just be ourselves. And so that is one of the things that has really helped me to persevere, because even in those moments where I don't feel like I can just be my authentic self, and when I say authentic self, yes, I talk with slang, right? But I don't necessarily do that if I'm coaching someone, unless my coaching client is Black, because they're gonna understand it. But if I'm in a space where they're not ready for that, I can't force somebody to be ready for that. And reality is, it's gonna cost you to let your standard down. But here's a shameless plug. What you can do is get me to help y'all do that work. And we can deconstruct that, or the racism within that organization. So hopefully, I think one of the things that came out of George Floyd's murder was that it really put racism in the face of organizations, and they can't afford to not say anything at this point, because it's not just the one or two people of color within their organizations that are saying something. The world is saying something about them needing to be different.
Richard, same question.
Yep, that was a great answer by Dr. Brooks, but the only thing that I will add, at least for me, is, again, and I agree with her, that standard, I think, helped me get to where I'm at today. So helping me, knowing that I have to work harder, that I have to try to be smarter and study harder, that kind of helped me get to where I'm at. I call it a chip on my shoulder. So, and I think that chip on my shoulder helped me get to the place where I'm at today. So.
What a great way to look at that. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Buddy, it's time for our advice and encouragement, because we're winding down.
We're winding down, and we have another question here.
Oh, we do?
I was going to sneak off and see, couldn't I ask Dr. Brooks a question? You know, I was going to act like I had to go and call in. I was going to type in. How do you make this thing work? Okay, we have a question, I think, for either of you, both of you. This time we'll start with you, Richard. How do you operate in a system/industry that are dominated by people older than yourself?
Oh, wow.
Older. Well, I may look young, but I'm not that old, not that young anymore. So, but you know, it's sometimes people, and I've been called young man when I come into a boardroom or a courtroom, and I'm 43, got 3 kids, so I don't consider myself a young man anymore. So, for me, for me, I think what I do is, again, try to be confident in who I am as a person. So and like I said, that's something that was instilled in me when I was at a very young age. So.
43, buddy. He young.
He young. He young, but that's okay. We'll let it go.
Okay. Dr. Brooks.
We'll check with him a few years from now. Dr. Brooks.
When I was in training on one of my internships, I had a black supervisor, and she said to me, "You are always going to have difficulties with older white men because you are young, black, female, and you know what you're doing." And so you really just have to kind of walk in it, You don't have to change your identity because someone else is uncomfortable. And one of the things that I know is I can make people uncomfortable just by who it is that I am, and that's okay. And so it's knowing how to navigate the space of who you are and still be respectful, and again, making sure that you're connecting with individuals and resources that can help you to stay encouraged along the way, because you will get some pushback.
All right. Before I read the last comment, let me read the last comment, and then we're going to ask the last question. Because we're going to ask, the last question is, and I'll have to give you time to think about it, what advice and encouragement would you have for black folk? And then what advice and encouragement you would have for white folk? That's the closing question we want to ask both of you. But the comment is, thank you both presenters for this evening. You both have been so transparent, and I encourage you to continue the great work to be the change agents for the community. And I echo that, buddy. I echo that sentiment.
Yep, and they also have a comment saying, thanks for sharing your gifts, for both of you for sharing your gifts.
So now, the wrap-up question, when you look in the camera, and what advice, and based on your experience, based on the platform you've got, what you're experiencing now, what it took for you to get where you are, to stay where you are, and even to move further than where you are, what encouragement would you have for blacks, and then what advice would you have for blacks and then whites? Then one to Richard.
Okay, all right. I was hoping you would say Dr. Brooks first. One thing I would tell black folks that, and especially young black men and women, is never let people put you in a box. Never make them say who they think you should be or who they think you are. Because of the color of your skin, because you don't meet their perception of what a black male or female should be or sounds like, or so that would be my advice to young black men and women. Be yourself, and have confidence in yourself and your abilities.
And advice to white folks?
I will just flip that around. Don't try to put black folks in a box. Don't, what you think we are, what we think we should be or sound like, or know that person for who they are, try to get to know somebody. And I know it takes work. But we all owe that to each other. It's to work at it, to know one another, and not just see a skin color.
Dr. Brooks.
Yes, so to black people, I would say two things. One, find a community of people that look like you, that can support you, that can encourage you, that can show up for you when you need somebody to just really be there. That was one of the things that really helped to keep me moving is I knew I always had a community of people. I'll throw this in related to that. When I graduated with my doctorate, you would have thought the whole Mount Zion graduated with a doctorate because it was that many people that were encouraged and inspired, and people saying things to me, you know, just to kind of keep me motivated and going. And whether they knew what was going on or not, or the things that I was dealing with, they just genuinely cared about what it was that I was doing. So find a community of people that can support and encourage you. And then also find a team of people that know what they're doing, that have some information about where it is that you're trying to go, that can support you and give you some guidance with whatever it is that you're trying to do. So we need people to support, but we also need people to guide. And then to white people, I would say, do your work. Do your work when it comes to racism. There are so many things that you do not know, and for however much you think you know today, there is so much more that you do not know. You have power that we don't have as Black people, and if this world is ever going to change and become we're going to deconstruct the racism within America, is going to take white people doing their work and using their voice, because when our voices aren't heard in rooms, someone will hear your voice. And so we can't do this work by ourselves. And really, we did not create the problem, and we therefore cannot fix the problem. The people that created the problem have to also fix the problem. So do your work to be informed and to really understand what it means to be racist and what it means to engage in racist behaviors, whether you think you're racist or not. There is probably some sort of way that you're supporting the structure that perpetuates racism. So do your work and really help to create change, and, you know, let us be great.
All right.
What do you think, buddy?
I think we did what we set out to do. We inspired,
We inspire,
we informed,
inform,
we motivated,
motivated,
and we encouraged.
and we encourage. Now we need the audience now, because Buddy and I think we did it. We think we hit it out the park tonight. So now, let us know, Buddy and I, whether we are all wet or not. You need to chime in. Did we do the 4 things we set out to do? Did we inform, inspire, motivate, and encourage? So we need you to chime in to let us know how we did before we get off the air. And let me, first of all, let me again, I'm so thankful to the 2 of you, Dr. Brooks and Richard, for coming tonight and sharing from your heart. And just before Buddy, you get the last words, is there anything that we didn't ask you that you wanted to say, that you need to say, and that the audience didn't ask you that you wanted to say, and that you would like to say? So you have the opportunity to do that. Dr. Brooks?
Yes, I will say this. Make sure that you are taking care of yourself, whatever that looks like, because we can't do anything or be productive if we are not healthy. So make sure that you're taking care of yourself. If that means going to a medical appointment, if that means going to therapy, if that means, you know, building a different kind of support system to surround yourself with different kinds of people, if that means going to church and building a relationship with God, whatever it is, make sure that you are taking care of yourself, and that is how you will then be able to make the difference that you really want to make.
All I want to say is thank you. Thank you to Dr. Moore, Mr. Hanna, Dr. Brooks. Thank you for inspiring me. Thank you for thinking of me. I don't really think of myself as being excellent, but I try to be the best attorney that I could be the best father, husband, everything that I can be. But I just want to thank you for giving me this platform and being surrounded by greatness as you all are. Thank you.
Well, once again, I'd just like to echo Pastor Moore's comments. Thank you both for being here. We've gotten a lot of good comments from what you did, and we thank you. To the audience, I just want to say, please tune in. We're going to be doing this once a month, and we want you to tune in. We hope that you will continue to spread the word about this, make it known to people, and let everybody know. We have a lot of people here in our community that are doing wonderful things, doing outstanding things, and we're trying to bring those to. And if you happen to know somebody that you feel we should be having on the program, please feel free to let us know that too. But in the meantime, we want you to keep tuning in, and we thank you for your support, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, buddy. I just saw a couple of comments. Because I asked for comments, so I got to read them back. I asked, how did we do? And, buddy, I'm seeing home run. Yes, you hit the object. Hand clap emoji. A lot of hearts and hugs on Facebook. You hit it out the park. Yes and amen.
Good enough.
All right.
Good enough.
Pray with us. God, we thank you now for this time of sharing. Thank you for Dr. Beatrice Brooks. Thank you for Richard Cherry. Lord, we thank you now for Buddy Hannah. Thank you for this opportunity to share to our community, all those that have tuned in, that are listening and sharing tonight. Lord, we lift you up and we praise you. We give you this time and we give you our lives. In the name of Jesus, this is our service prayer. Amen.
Thank you for streaming live with us. Visit our website MountZionKalamazoo.org or follow us on social media. Again, thank you for joining us, and we hope to worship with you again soon. Thank you for streaming live with us. Visit our website MountZionKalamazoo.org or follow us on social media. Again, thank you for joining us, and we hope to worship with you again soon. Thank you for streaming live with us. Visit our website MountZionKalamazoo.org or follow us on social media. Again, thank you for joining us, and we hope to worship with you again soon.